Welcome back to Edinburgh Fest Live here from the Newtown Theatre in George Street, Edinburgh. Now, we've had some interesting entertainment up until now. Incidentally, if you want to catch up on any of our previous shows, just go on to YouTube, search SBC, Edinburgh Fest Live, and all our previous editions are there. So you can catch up later. Now, it's that time of the show, and for those of you that have watched some of the previous ones, you'll know what's coming. But for the audience here who haven't seen it, and maybe you at home that haven't seen it yet, you're in for a treat. Today we are cutting over to Hairy Mary, who's going to do... what are you cooking today, Hairy Mary?
A delicious chocolate cake, David.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yes, with some rather unusual ingredients. Again, a sort of fusion theme to the whole thing. So, yes, it should be interesting.
Excellent. So, I take it your friend that tried your bean and, what was it, spam pie is out of the hospital now?
Well, the spasms have stopped, yes.
Okay. Excellent, and they're not going to sue us?
It's all sort of calmed down.
Oh, wonderful. Right, well,
there's nothing left to come out now. It's all gone.
Oh, dear. Okay, take it away. Let's have a look at your wonderful pie. And do you need somebody from the audience?
We will do, David, yes. So could we have a volunteer from the audience? Oh, yes.
Yes, come on.
Up you come, my dear. Up you come. Now, while we're waiting for our volunteer to come and join us, today we're going to be preparing a delicious chocolate cake. Yes. Ah, my dear, hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's your name?
Helen.
Sorry?
Helen.
No?
Helen.
Uh-huh. Yes, okay. Thingy. We'll just call you Thingy. Yes. Now, today we're going to make a chocolate cake. Do you bake?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, you might learn some things today which help you to sort of move your whole baking experience on for you and your family. Yes, like nothing you've ever baked before. So, first of all, to make a chocolate cake, we need some flour. Could you hold the bowl for me, please?
Certainly.
What was your name again?
Helen.
Yes, and what is it you do for a living, Helen?
I'm in retail.
Sorry?
I'm in retail.
That's not very interesting, is it? What a shame. Now, first of all, a good cake should have some fibre in it, so I'll stick some fibre in there, like that, right? And a little dash of wine, of course. My signature ingredient, like so. You see, that's not scary at all, is it? No, it's all very gentle, yes. Now, then we need some flour. So we'll take a little bit of flour. I've been accused of being quite aggressive with the guests, so I'm trying to tone it down a bit and not scare them. So don't be alarmed, my dear, all right? Nothing bad's going to happen. So we'll just put a little bit of flour in there very gently, like that. You give the bowl a little shake. You see, I can be nice. Then some eggs. Now, people are always asking me, how do we avoid the eggshells getting into the mix? Well, that's quite simple. You can use a technique, and I hinted at that a moment ago, David, which is this. Yeah. You just... Well, that's not really work, but you get the general idea. It is also possible to separate the whites from the yolks that way as well, so we'll chuck in usually 3 eggs for a good sponge mix, all right? Like that. Another one in there like that. Perfect. Now we're going to need some chocolate, aren't we? Now, normally the chocolate would be melted over some boiling water in a glass bowl, but we don't have time to do that, so just stick some of that in your mouth, would you? That's it. Good girl. And I'll get some as well, okay? It's rather nice, actually. So a little bit more there. Actually, about 2.5 mouthfuls is generally enough. Just to flavour it a little. Then, if you want your cake to stand out from the rest, of course, we're going to give that a little mix, actually, my dear. So we'll just get something heavy to mix that with, I think. If you could smash that up a little for me, thank you. Just smash it up nice and firmly, yes. Now, the eggshells, of course, contribute to the fibre that's contained within the cake, making it quite healthy. So, we're going to add some unusual ingredients now, not generally associated with a chocolate cake, with it all over my hair. Horrible. A little splash of milk. Yes, that's quite a normal ingredient, I would agree with you. I did mention the word fusion earlier on. Now, over the years, I've been influenced by cooking from all over the world. How are you getting on with that?
Oh, really well.
All right? Yes. I thought you said you baked. Yes. Now, I'm going to take over with that. Okay. So if I could get you to take this tin of pilchards, and if you could open that for me, that would be lovely. Thank you. So we'll mix this up a little bit more. As I always say, give it a good beating till it goes nice and stiff. like so, and then very gently until it goes all soft again, just like that. Beautiful. Lovely. How are you getting on with the pilchards? Now, what we don't want with the pilchards, I think we'll put those in a bowl, I think, just now, like so. Right. Now, you may think this is a little bit unorthodox, but it does work, ladies and gentlemen. What we don't really want, you might want to be careful here, is we don't want the sauce, okay? So, we're just going to lick that off. Okay. Like so. And then stick them in the bowl. So if you wouldn't mind doing one of those for me. Now, watch you don't get sauce all over you. Just give a little lick. That's it. Don't be afraid. Lovely. And in the bowl, please. I don't want to touch that. Now, oh, did you get a mouthful there, did you? Oh, dear, dear. Always remember to spit. Don't swallow. There we go. That's the pilchards. About 2.5 of those is generally enough with the pilchards. And then, to really give it a little bit of zing, some lovely smoky bacon. We're not going to chew this up, obviously, because it's not cooked. That wouldn't be decent, would it? So about 3 rashers of bacon in there. Like so. Another egg. Yes, another egg, I think. Why not? Just give it a little bit more. You know, that's proving quite difficult to crack. There we go. And finally, some more flour. And then we'll mix the whole thing up with our hands, like so. Now, this obviously is going to turn out to be a white chocolate cake. Right? So we just want to mix that up till it's good and firm. And then stick it in the fridge for about 3 days. Should come out lovely. And then in the oven at 1,000 degrees for about 4.5 hours. Now, the Fire Brigade love my baking. They're around all the time, you know. You never seem to tempt them to take any away with them, though, for some reason. Now, what do you think we should do next?
Cook it.
Cook it? Yes, well, but obviously we don't have time to do that, do we? We don't have time. Can I say also, are you quite a thrifty person?
Yeah.
Yes, I sort of figured that. Also, not want to waste money on hairstyling and clothing. I'll just clean that off there. A little bit. Now we're going to pop that in the oven. Now, the last thing we need to do, of course, no cake is complete without the icing, but the way this has been put together, and it's quite a clever construction, the various ingredients, as it bakes at 1,000 degrees, will sort of rise to the top. So the last thing we need to do is add some cherries there. So just, as I always say, pop your cherry on the top. There we go. It's a good handful of cherries there, thingy, whatever your name is. We'll put them in there, and we give those a good mix-up, and we stick it in the oven. Now, the magic happens in the oven with this recipe. You might not believe it, but in the oven, as I say, all the ingredients will rise to the top, the bacon will settle to the bottom, providing a nice firm base of the cake, the cherries will rise to the top, and they will miraculously change into chocolate buttons, like this cake that we prepared earlier on.
Great! So Mary, I'm planning a party.
Have you got any friends?
I used to have friends. I used to have friends until I started this job. I was wondering if you could give me some tips of what the best things I could make for maybe 20 or 30 people.
Well, you could make 20 or 30 friends for a start. That might be something to start from. oh gosh, ladder in my tights.
Oh dear.
Yes, perhaps you could climb it later.
You're a terrible woman. You know
yes,
that.
Yes,
You're a terrible woman.
Terrible woman. That would.
Well, can we have a round of applause for our guest, special guest, and for Mary.
Sorry about the patience.
Well, that's just about all we have for part 3. Don't forget you can catch up with all our catch-up on YouTube by searching for SBC Edinburgh Fest Live. Also, follow us on Twitter at edfest_live. So we'll see you in part 4 where we've got some other great guests.
Well, I have to hope it's a good subject for comedy, because this is about the 4th show I've done about politics and comedy. And I think you just have to do what you think is interesting and you enjoy. And the kind of political comedy I do, I want to find ways to talk about it with people who don't necessarily go to political comedy all the time. Because I think that sometimes people think, oh, it's political comedy, I'm going to switch off, I'm not interested. And I think there's lots there. You know, we can still have fun with it, you can still make it accessible and enjoyable. I don't shout at anybody if you don't agree with me, that's perfectly fine. But I think there's a lot of fun to be had there. This is my 6th Fringe, so I think this is the one I've been promised. Once you do 6, you're automatically famous, and the golden chariot arrives off the mile and swoops you away into success. Isn't that what happens? That's what happens, right? I've told my wife that's what happens. That has to no. It's my 6th Fringe, and I do really enjoy it. I mean, it's a long festival. So sometimes it does become a bit long, basically. There's no other way to say it, but I love Edinburgh, so I do like coming up. My view on the UK, well, I've been here for 16 years. I'm all in now. I've got myself a British passport. They used to give them away back in Labour's days. They were just supplements in The Guardian, so they just chuck them in. And so it's easy back then. It's harder now. And I usually focused on US politics because British politics were so dull for so long. But that has changed. So if I'd known Brexit was going to go the way it was, I would have done that this year. But I think like everyone, I thought for sure that wasn't going to happen. So this year it's all about US politics because we do have some fun stuff happening over there, or dangerous stuff, depending on how you look at it. If we might have a fascist for a president, but that's fine. It makes things interesting. It's good for my business. Bad for the rest of the world. Bad for Mexico, but good for me. Well, last year's show was very much functional. It was how to pick a perfect president. So this year it's a little bit more why I like to talk about politics, what drew me into it, and sort of an update on what's happening with Trump and Hillary and Bernie Sanders, if you've seen Bernie Sanders, who gave Hillary a bit of a run for her money, and just the state of play of where we're at right before the election. Well, I did, in 2014, I did a show about the Scottish referendum, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I did the only show that was against independence for Scotland. So I do believe it's my show that kept the union together at the time. I'm pretty sure it was me. But obviously, since things have changed, and with the English decision to take us out of the EU, I think that's significant, and I'd have to relook how I feel about that, because I think Scotland's in an interesting place right now, and it's going to be an interesting couple of years.